Jeff, Canada is going to the polls, so let's talk about online advertising when it comes to political advertisements. So Meta just announced that they are asking advertisers to disclose if they are using any type of artificial intelligence in political ads. According to the Globe and Mail, Meta asked advertisers to disclose the use of AI and other digital technologies. What do you think about this?
Well, so first of all, I believe it's really aimed at AI being used for images, video, audio. Basically, it's an attempt to limit deepfakes in politics, which is a worthwhile thing to fight against because, my gosh, what a terrible thing when you can no longer rely on what people are saying in a video clip as being something they actually said. And we've seen that manipulated in the past. And so that's great. Meta scrapped all their U.S. fact-checking programs after the U.S. election. So it makes me wonder how long these things last and how much they really care about it. But in principle, I think it's obviously a really important thing.
I think it's a really important thing. And I think it's important to also mention the word that they use, which is to disclose. So presumably you can still use AI to create those political advertisements, but you have to disclose that you are doing so. I think the language around this gets a little bit loose, Jeff, in terms of how you're using AI. Are you using AI, like you said, it's meant for photos and videos, but are you using AI to maybe enhance a photo or a video? Are you using it to manipulate? Do you actually think that political advertisers are going to adhere to this?
It's like most, and honestly, I think it's one of our issues in modern society. If you don't enforce rules, then the worst people won't follow those rules. So yeah, I noticed that language too, and I thought it was fairly wishy-washy. We can hope and we can see, I've already seen some ads out that are, if not using AI, just pretty tasteless in terms of their depiction of other leaders and stuff. I'm sure you've seen some of that too. But I think the proof will be in the pudding. Let's see if anyone's actually caught and forbidden from doing this sort of thing. And that'll tell us a lot more than anything that Meta puts out in a press release, because you can't really take them at their word, as we've seen with their conversation last week and beyond.
Absolutely. It's unfortunate, but as soon as I read this and I was thinking about Meta, I thought to myself, okay, let's take a comparison of maybe criminal activity. It'd almost be like telling the police, before you're using a gun, please let us know that you plan to use a gun to commit this crime. We're not going to enforce it, but please do let us know that you plan to do this, because that's how little trust I have in Meta actually doing anything at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you pointed out they've got an ad library where you can actually look up some of these things, which I took a peek at, but I think you know a little bit more than I do about this. If you want to just share with our listeners for a second what you can find in there.
I think this is really important for all Canadians in this election cycle to understand that Meta does have this ad library that you're able to sift through and see all of the money spent on political ads. I know, Jeff, we've been talking in Canada for the past few weeks about media traveling on different campaign planes and whether they should be allowed. Most of them are allowing this. But I think even more important for the average Canadian is understanding when they're on Instagram and Facebook who is behind the advertisements that they are seeing and how much money is being spent. So like you said, you're able to dive into this ad library. It's super, super easy to use. All you do is you filter for Canada. You go to any type of advertisers who are advertising issues, elections, or politics. You can spit out a report and see the past day or the past 7 days. I had a chance to do this. And at any given time, and we're going to see this even more so in the coming weeks, there are thousands and thousands of advertisements that are created across these social media platforms within the Meta universe. And Jeff, here's the thing, just to stitch this back to our conversation about AI and advertisements. Yes, Meta has said that you aren't supposed to use AI or you have to disclose it. But some of these advertisements that I found, including one from a third-party publisher called Canada Proud, they are actually photoshopping all their ads, making our candidates look like they have, long noses, like they're in a Pinocchio cartoon. So apparently that's still allowed.
It's you could get to the same ends without using AI. Back in the day, we didn't have to use AI to fake those things. It's just obviously makes it easier. So I was blown away by the amount of money you see being spent, and it's from the Conservative Party, I think was the top of the list when I looked at the Canadian ones, but the public sector Alliance of Canada, the big union for Canadian public sector unions, is right up there. But then there's these little fly-by-night things, and those are the ones where you wonder if that's just playing whack-a-mole. Can somebody go on there, run political ads, use AI, be told that you're not allowed to do that, those ads get taken down after the fact, and then they just pop up another company to do that. Now, I know there are some limitations in which accounts can do political advertising and stuff. Maybe that's taken care of, but yeah, when you see some of the names behind the money being put into these things, it's definitely makes you wonder about the whole whack-a-mole thing. You can pretty easily come up with another organization to do that. And so, yeah, we'll see if this keeps holding on. But hopping across the pond for a minute in terms of some more sort of digital safety privacy things, France has rejected a proposal to gut end-to-end encryption, which was proposed as being something that was necessary to fight drug trafficking.
Well, I saw this, and I know that the EFF, the amazing foundation that really is kind of the go-to organization when it comes to adhering to certain rules of engagement online. They're a great organization to follow. Yeah. They said that this was a huge win. Now we know that if you are using an encrypted app, messaging app, for example, in France, there isn't going to be a backdoor for the government to access those encrypted messages. So I think this is a move in the right direction, although there are some places in the world, again, that don't want to adhere to these type of guidelines when it comes to encryption.
Yeah, so the end results, if this had gone through instead of being rejected, apps like Signal and WhatsApp, the government would have to be able to be provided access to private conversations, which is just not appropriate. And the Electronic Frontier Foundation there, EFF, they argue strongly, as they always do, that encryption makes us more safe, not less safe. So having governments, engage in this sort of stuff, which we have seen other governments testing the waters around this. So we've had the UK, Australia, the US all flirt with anti-encryption laws. And it's something that is not really a very comforting indicator of how our governments think they should solve problems. So let's hope that the common sense being shown here by France serves as an example for others.
Okay, so if you are looking for comforting indicators, I have one for you that'll make you feel better. And this is sticking in Europe. It seems that Italy's talks with Starlink for a 5-year deal that was worth $1.6 billion. That's kind of stalled because of concerns over national security. I think this is a smart move and a good move in the right direction.
Yeah, and we talked about something similar with Ontario abandoning their Starlink deal. This all comes down to distrust of Elon Musk and, frankly, the Trump administration, people being worried about handing over important defense infrastructure to parties that have demonstrated that they can't really be trusted. So in good news, it looks like Google is going to be spinning off its own Starlink competitor, which is desperately needed. So hopefully there'll be some more options on the table for people who don't want to do business with Musk and the companies that they don't feel that can provide them with the sort of trust relationship that they need to for these very high security deals like Starlink.
Well, I try sometimes when we're going through our headlines, I think, okay, I don't want to talk about Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg a lot, but we cannot avoid both of these characters because they are intricately involved in everything that we do. And going back to a story that was just released out of Meta again, and this specifically is about Instagram, it turns out that they are spot testing AI-generated comments on Instagram so that you could potentially use this little feature called Write with Meta AI, a prompt that would help you comment on other people's posts. This is an example, Jeff, of technology that no one asked for and that nobody needs, I think.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't agree more. And it's mind-boggling that people can be, and maybe they're not, maybe it doesn't get used, but I have a feeling it does get used. So people who will just give in and be so lazy that they want AI to come up with an off-the-cuff comment for them, I can't really imagine anything as inauthentic as that. And like a lot of other things with AI, something that will degrade human interaction even further if people indulge in this stuff too much. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So yeah, I find it amazing that anyone would want AI to be the one to come up with their 3-word comment on an image they see on Instagram. It's pretty weak.
And also, if you're even considering using something like this, if it does come out on a widespread basis for a large number of users, I just want to remind people that Meta is a company that uses AI for so much, including popping up those moments that you've had on Facebook, for example, or Instagram, when people have passed away or when you've broken up with your partner. I mean, their AI in the context of the platform really, really sucks. So I would not depend on it for anything.